So I do a lot of reloading, and I like to cover all my bases, so I needed a 9mm. And just personal preference, I really have no use for that cartridge in a handgun. I'm sure that's going to start a big debate, but that's just me. So I thought this cheap little carbine would do the trick, and it's a high point, and I don't know if you could design an uglier gun, but for 120 bucks or whatever I paid for it, I thought it was alright. But that is about as ugly of a stock as you can come up with. So that had to go. So I got a replacement stock from ATI. Yeah, cheap stock, cheap gun, but it serves my purposes. I thought you'd all be interested to see what I did to it. So there it is. I decided to camo it. And to me, this is the cheapest, most effective, easiest camo you can do. There's a couple guys got channels are doing digiprint. It looks amazing, but it's a ton of work. I don't know if I can get up on this snakeskin pattern. Did the whole thing except for the sights and the action. I mean, if you're going to camo something, you might as well camo it. It's showing a little reflection in the camera. It's really matte. It's just flat. I don't know why the light's glaring off it so bad. Yeah, isn't that nice? And it's super easy to do. So there's the back side. And next time I do this, I'll do a tutorial on it. But I'll go through it real briefly. So I didn't want to go with the traditional green and tan with this one. It kind of looks like it in the video, but it's really black and gray. It's got just a hint of, let's see, it was white, black, gray, and dark gray. All flat colors. Finding flat gray is really hard, just a heads up. But you can do it with greens, it doesn't matter, desert tans. Start with your base, your lightest color, and use it as your base color. Make sure you got, this is a synthetic stock, so make sure you use a either a plastic primer or a plastic friendly paint. And these ATI stocks are pretty cheap, so there's a lot of casting lines around the seams. You sand all of that off, especially up along, here and underneath, around the trigger guard. Smooth it up, might as well make it look a little nice. And then base coat it with your lightest color. So in this case, I just used flat white. Painted the whole gun flat white. And then you're going to look at it and go, oh my god, what did I just do? Oh, before I get ahead of myself, make sure you tape off anything important. Up around your sights and your action, all that. If you don't want to tape it off, you can, like this, I just packed with paper towel. Packed the tip of the barrel, the muzzle with, rolled up a little paper towel, stuck it in there. Anything else you're worried about, smear a pretty heavy coat of grease on it, and then the paint will just stick to the grease, and then when you're all done, you can just wipe it off. I used painter's tape and went around the sights. So you base coat the whole thing your lightest color. In this case it was flat white. And project material, 9-ounce shoulder. I don't know what that's going on yet, but we'll find out. Anyway, so base coated white, and then take your darkest color. I prefer black. This one I was all whites and grays, so obviously it was black, but even on the greens I use a black. And cut out some starbursts. So get yourself a piece of cardboard and just starburst the corners out. Make a big one, make a little one, make a tiny one. I didn't want to use the ones I used because they're all black and you couldn't see them. But you get this far away. Sorry about that big chunk of lead, it wouldn't balance by itself. But take your starbursts and blacken out the corners. So you can kind of see it. It actually shows it better on the camera than in real life. But back here on the back of the corner, take your biggest starburst and take your, you can see this one on the corner here. And you kind of line it up on the corner, shoot it with black, and just break that corner up. Because when you see a silhouette of a gun or any man-made object, the first thing you recognize in nature is the 90-degree corners. So flat black that corner out. Then come down here, flat black your mag well out, and that one shows up pretty good in the camera. Right above the trigger guard, oops, flat black that out. That one could have got covered a little better there on the front. There's probably one up on the muzzle. Yeah, you can barely see it. But yeah, break all the definitive lines with black. And then just, this one's got some gray tiger striping in it. I mean, just a quick nothing fancy. I took a fern leaf, which it's officially January. Happy New Year's, everybody. But you ain't gonna find a fern leaf in Wisconsin for another like 5 months. But took a fern leaf, stenciled that on there with some light gray. Just your regular camo stuff. And then it looks okay. It looks mediocre. It looks like any guy in his garage spray painted a gun. To get this awesome snake skin, I have a patented method I call potato sack. Take a potato sack. Kind of comes in the grocery store. And I hung this up so I could do both sides at once. You could lay it down, whatever. And just drape this potato sack over it. And then shoot it with black. Not real close. 6 inches. 10 inches maybe. And mist it with black. And you'll get that sweet reptilian snakeskin print. And change the potato sack back and forth. You can only use it for a couple guns, and then it gets too gunky and it won't work. But, you know, potatoes are cheap. And then when you get it all done, it's still pretty definitive, especially using a base coat as white. So, go back about 1.5 foot and just dust it with whatever your darkest color is. So here you did the whole thing, used the netting from the potato sack, shot it with black, and then backed way up about 1.5 foot, 2 feet, and just dusted it with black. And it looks awesome for 4 cans of spray paint in about 15 minutes. There's a lot of other camo patterns out there, but I've done a couple this way. It's the fastest, easiest, looks the sweetest. You can top coat it with polyurethane or something, but it gives it a little gloss even if you use a satin. So I prefer just to leave them matte. They do scratch because it's paint, but worst case scenario, grab your cans and you base coat it and do it over again. You could use a real fancy Duracoats and cryo coat and bake them on there, but I'm a cheapskate. But yeah, that's that. Next time I do one, I'll do a tutorial on it. Hope you guys enjoyed. It's going to be a huge holster.